What's up, guys? Kamikaze Fox coming to you from SRL F1 2024 on the PlayStation platform. Going for one last ride here, the season finale in this anniversary season of all things SRL. Got 14 drivers for today's race lining up, getting ready to kick things off with an 18-minute short qualifying, followed by 36 laps around the Brazilian circuit. We'll start off with our driver lineup so far. Sandro Dulius in the Scuderia Ferrari, Aleski in the Mercedes-AMG Petronas, Jensen Randall, of course, in the McLaren Prying Stingray, Luke Smith all the way from way down under, coming in from Australia, Sam Brandt in the Red Bull, Frihabile in the Aston Martin, Jesper Lempinen in the V-Carb, followed by George Wilkes in the Aston Martin, Ivan Brito in the other Mercedes, Jo Marusic in the Red Bull, filling in for Nick Van Gelder, Senna Haywire in the Kick Sauber, joining us today, Andrea Latrella in the other V-Carb, Max Mulder in the Alpine with Jerome Adamaco, Alex Benarichetti in the other Ferrari. Dion Stahl and Nick Van Gelder both not going to be in today's race. They are actually in Spa for the 6 hours of Spa for the WEC. And we've got Yor taking the place of Nick Van Gelder, and we've got Luke Smith joining in, a couple of OG SRL racers joining in today as we get ready to kick things off. And of course, being the anniversary season, we've been taking a look back at all of the most memorable races, but the most memorable race, not only for season 4, but for just the entirety, it encompasses all of SRO, was the season finale of season 4. You guys should definitely go back and watch that. I went back and watched the season 4 finale last night. The last 10 laps of that race is absolutely insane. A three-way battle between Francis McGinn, Vasilios Belasiotis, and Nick Van Gelder for the win of the race. Francis McGinn and Nick Van Gelder battling it out for the win of the championship. Unfortunately, Vasilios would make contact with Francis McGinn, spinning him out. Nick would get by. Francis would fall to 5th place. He would recover to 4th, but it wouldn't be enough to get the championship, and Nick Van Gelder would walk away with that championship. And we've got Nick on the live stream chatting in and enjoy the final race, Lance. Yes, this is unfortunately my final race with SRL. Not something that not a decision I made lightly, but unfortunately times have changed, the world has changed, and moving forward into next season 11, I won't be able to participate as the commentator week in and week out. So nice to see some of the OGs. And to think about how many drivers that SRL has had over the years and how many of them have stayed with SRL. I mean, obviously, Sandro being the president and the owner of SRL, he's been here since day one. But Luke Smith goes back many, many seasons, as well as Sam Brandt. Jesper Lempinen's been with us for a number of years, and so is Jo Marusic. Senna Haywire as a backup has been with us for a long time. Alex Benarichetti, Season 2 champion. Tim Ventic, a Season 5 champion. So... and Ivan Brito. Ivan Brito's been here since Season 3, I think, so he's been with us for a long time as well. So I think we're waiting on a couple more drivers, but yeah, most memorable race by far was Season 4, season finale. That just encompasses everything that SRL is and was and everything that they've built from. Should definitely go back and watch Season 4 from its humble beginnings to what they are now, with hundreds of viewers and followers and thousands of laps under their belt. So it is the last race for me, but it won't be the last race for SRL, so be sure to follow them along on Instagram at SRL_F1 for all the news and notes heading into next season. Be sure to follow along because in June they will be running their annual Indy 500 on Project Cars 2. And I do believe that they are going to have a 2.4 hours of Le Mans over the summer as well. I don't know a whole lot about that. And we'll see if we can get Nick in here real quick. I have a lot of friends. I can't find him. Actually, I don't even know what his thing is anymore. It's not the... did Nick change his gamer tag? There he is. Nope, that's not it. I just had him. Son of a bitch. Well, it looks like we're getting ready to kick things off for the 18-minute short qualifying session. We'll follow that up with the 50% race. Just trying to find Nick in my friends list. Apparently my friends list is very long. Well, he was there and now he's gone, so it is what it is. And we got Whippo film on the live tracks. Final race today. Unfortunately, yes, Whippo, it is my final race with SRL. Not going to be able to continue to do this moving forward, so I had a quick chat with the drivers before getting on, just to thank Sandro and everybody for letting me do this for so many seasons. And I can't say it's not a little bit of not a little emotional to look forward to not be doing this next season, so... But it's not about me. It's about the race. We've got drivers that are going to be racing for Pride today. Obviously, the championship was locked up some time ago by Jensen Randall, the 5-time champion. But that doesn't mean there isn't still things on the line for some of these guys. As we take a look at round 22 last week, George Wilkes walking away with the pole position, but it was a 3-car battle for the win of the race. Andrea Latrella would actually come out on top. Tim Ventic would come home second, and George Wilkes was third and had a 5-second timing penalty. Sandro Dulius was fourth. Fria Belay, who we hadn't seen a whole lot this year, comes home fifth. Jesper Lempinen with a great run in sixth position. Noah Smith would finish seventh. Pablo Baz was eighth. Aleski was ninth, and Nick Van Gelder was 10th. Robin Herderstagen finished 11th. Dion Stahl was 12th. Ivan Brito was 13th. Alex Benarichetti 14th. Max Mulder was 15th. And Sam Brandt had a DNF, unfortunately. So let's get some lap data up. We want the big track map. Good old Brazil. Proper way to end a season. And we see a little bit of contact here already on the out lap. This is... Jensen Randall just got rear-ended by one of the Alpines. I'm going to say it was probably Max Mulder. Yes, indeed. So Max being a little aggressive on the out lap. So we'll see what Jensen Randall's plan is. Does Jensen actually qualify today? As Max goes for a big slide coming out of that corner. Or does Jensen try to do the last to front challenge along with probably Luke Smith? Good to see Luke's name on the timing and scoring. He looks like Luke's actually coming out on an out lap. So Max Mulder's going to come across the line. Looks like he's going to be the first driver to start a timed lap, maybe except for Aleski. Yeah, Aleski's going to be the first driver on a timed lap. He's coming out of Sector 1. Aleski's had some really good runs over the past few years, been able to pick up a couple of SRL wins, some pole positions along with some podiums. Hasn't been able to put a complete season together to try and capitalize on any of that, but he's a very fast driver, got a lot of potential. And Jensen Randall has been disqualified from the session. He parked in a dangerous location. So that's Jensen just... I mean, he could just not go out on track if that's if that's what he was going to do. Here comes Aleski. He's going to come across the line. Going to set the first timed lap of the session. And a 108.360, I can say with some confidence, Some of these guys are definitely going to be in the 107. They're going to pick up good old Luke Smith. Looks like he's invalidated his lap time. See if we can find Max Mulder. I know he was going to be second to come across the line. Here he comes with a 108.598. Good enough for second so far, but he's only the second driver to set a time. Brazilian track, we're looking at lap times 108.3 for Free Abelé. He goes to the top of the charts. We're watching Tim Ventic as he gets ready to come across the line. Quick laps here around Brazil. Obviously, traffic's going to be an issue during the qualifying for sure, and obviously during the race. And Tim Ventic with a 108.083, good enough for first place. He goes to the top of the charts. And George Wilkes with a 107.769, 0.3 of a second. Oh, Jerome Adamaco, 107.545. The times are coming in, and they are dropping already. We'll pick up Yor Marusic. We haven't seen Yor this year on track. Good to see him for my one last go. He was Team Red Bull for a long time, was teammates with Nick Van Gelder for many years. Coming across the line of a 110.731. That's more my pace. I can probably be competitive with Yor Marusic. We'll pick up Andrea Latrella. He's a very fast driver in Sector 2 right now currently. A little bit of a lockup on that right front coming down the hill. His sweeping left-hander. See what kind of time Andrea can set. Coming off of last week's win, he'd love to finish the season out with another win for sure. And he's going to come across the line. It's going to be a little close. 107.605, good enough for second quickest right now. So the battle between Latrella and Wilkes from last week is going to continue this week. We'll pick up Luke Smith again. He's currently on an invalidated lap. He's going to dive into the pits. So Sam Brandt in the other Red Bull. He's going to come across the line. He's on an out lap. He's going to start his timed lap. So 13 minutes left to play in the session. Caution flag flying in Sector 1. Looks like that would be... And Alex Benarichetti has retired from the session. Not sure if that was on purpose. And it looks like Sam Brandt has already invalidated his lap time. So we'll pick up Senna Haywire. He's on an invalidated lap time. Let's pick up Sandro. Yet to set a time. This is one of Sandro's better tracks. Sandro always seems to do good at the more traditional F1 tracks. Brazil, Spa, Silverstone, Monza. He's a proper F1 fan. A proper F1 driver. So Sandro going to be coming to the line. 107.850, good enough for fourth quickest. And let's pick up good old Ivan Brito. Just starting a timed lap as he heads down into the turn 1-2 complex. I guess that's the Senna S's. Is that what that is? I don't remember. Actually, it looks like that was the end of the back straightaway. So he's coming up the hill, sweeping right-hander. Like I said, there's still some things on the line for some of these drivers. So Jensen Randall obviously locked up the championship quite some time ago. Tim Ventic is locked in second place. Jerome Adamaco is battling for third in points with Andrea Latrella. 219 for Adamaco, 209 for Latrella. Sandro Dulius not that far behind with 193 to his credit for this year. As we see Ivan Brito come across the line, see what kind of time he can set. Currently 12th quickest so far. And Jerome Adamaco has been disqualified from the session, and Ivan Brito jumps to 9th quickest. So Adamaco, who's got the provisional pole time at a 107.605, just got disqualified. I'm not sure why. I was too busy trying to watch Ivan Brito's time. So Adamaco's been disqualified. That puts Andrea Latrella atop the charts with a 107.605. And we're still watching Ivan Brito, and looks like that would be Jesper Lempinen coming out behind him. So Jesper on his out lap. Now Jesper's currently 9th quickest so far with a 108.728. So just checking out Nick on the live chat. Yep. Stahl and Nick Van Gelder both at Spa for the 6 hours of Spa for the WEC Championship, WEC as they call it. And his longtime teammate, yes, Juha Marusic taking his place today. We're going to watch Jesper Lempinen here for a minute, see how he does on his second timed lap. So caution flag flying in sector 2 and 3, probably for some slow cars. Doesn't look like there's anything major happening on track. Jesper Lempinen. He's had a pretty solid season. He's currently 12th in points. He's got 48 points to his credit. I mean, realistically, if he had a really good race, he could capitalize and actually jump into 11th over Dion Stahl. Dion Stahl's got 62 points to his credit. Dion's not here today. He'd need a really good run, though. He would probably need to pick up a podium to really catapult himself over that. And Jesper with a 1:08.518. Is he still on the gas? And it looks like he is out of it now. So 1:08.518 for Jesper Lempinen, up to 7th spot. Pulls over to the side to let some of the other cars go by. We'll see if we can pick up George Wilkes. He is 0.3 of a second up over his previous time. That would give him provisional pole. That would put him somewhere in the 1:07.4s, possibly 1:07.3 if he's still gaining time up the hill. DRS slot open. Here comes George Wilkes, as close to the line as he can get. Woo! 1:07.367 for George Wilkes. 0.3 of a second quicker than Andrea Latrella, who's just come out on an out lap. Free Abile in the pits, and Sandro Dulius, he's only about 0.2 of a second over up his previous time. So that would move him into second spot if he continues to gain that speed. So here comes Sandro across the line, and a 1:07.659, not quick enough. That's going to move him up a spot into third. And Tim Ventic, looks like he just closed his DRS slot. 1:07.667 for him. Looks like he's backed out of that one. We'll go back to Andrea Latrella. He's just coming across the line. Ooh, looking a little squirrely through there. That was a very sloppy complex he just went through. 1-2 complex, the Senna S's. I think they're the Senna S's. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but he's already almost 0.4 of a second off of his previous time, so he'll probably have to bail out of that. We'll go back to Juha Marusic. Looks like he was on a time lap, just invalidated it, let another car go by. Pick up Ivan Brito. 1:08.724. Looks like he's going to get a little bit of slipstream help here from the Aston Martin in front of him down the straightaway. Up the hill through the sweeping right-hander. I love this track. I ran this track just the other day, just a time trial, just to see how I'd do. I'd be running probably somewhere between 11th and 12th right now with the times that I was putting up. But again, as to paraphrase Murray Walker, there's ones who can race, and there are those who can't, and the ones who can't. So that's why I've been commentator for so many years. Never good enough to be the online racer that I wanted to be, but that's okay. Looks like Ivan Brito is going to abort this lap and dive into the pits. We can pick up Sam Brandt. I think he's off the pace too. No, maybe I'm wrong. He's going to come across the line. Oh, wow, look at that. Off the pace, my butt. Half a second quicker than his previous time. 1:08.392 moves him up into 7th spot. And time is ticking down. We've got 4:40 left to play in the session. A lot of guys in the pits. Let's see if we can pick up Andrea Latrella. He's on an invalidated lap time. We'll pick up Friab Bile, but it looks like he's off the pace. Looks like he was almost 2 seconds off of his previous time, so he probably just set that 107.443. Caution flag flying in Sector 3. Looks like that's somebody at the pit entry. Looks like that might have been Joe Marusic's car at the pit entry. Not sure what was going on there. Pick up Senna Haywire. Looks like he's just starting a timed lap as he heads down into turn 1. Looking a little squirrely there. And I'll hand it to Senna. He's been with us for a number of seasons now. I've been a bit critical of him over the seasons with some of his racecraft. I know he's constantly trying to improve, and I will give credit where credit is due. He has tried to improve not just his ability to drive the car, but also his racecraft and being more aware of cars that are around him. So he has struggled a bit throughout the seasons, but he's been a constant stay here at SRL for about 3 or 4 seasons now as a backup driver. So still trying to put a full race together. But it looks like he's really struggling with the setup here. Car's running, it's a little twitchy, runs a little wide coming out of that corner. The car looks really unstable as of right now, so. He does improve his time. It's almost 2 seconds quicker than his previous time, and a big slide and a big crash. And just as I say he was trying to improve his racecraft, he does what Senna Haywire does. So he is going to be locked in at that 111.682. We'll go. It looks like Oleski's got an issue. He's going to be off the track here. I think he's letting another car go by. Is that Ivan Brito he's letting go by? Yep, that's his teammate going by, so. Ivan Brito on an out lap. Got Tim Ventic on an out lap. Now, Oleski's technically on a timed lap, but obviously he's off the pace, so. Back to Ivan Brito. Another timed lap, and looks like some of these guys are going to start coming out. It's going to be a mad dash at the end of the pits. 2-minute warning. We've got 1:40 left to play. So a lot of these guys are going to be coming on their out laps to make a last-ditch effort to try and snatch away that provisional pole currently held by George Wilkes at a 107.367. We're currently watching Ivan Brito, currently 9th with a 108.724 coming down that back stretch. Brakes hard into the left-hander, power down. He's going to start making the run to the top of the hill. Big sweeping right-hander. Love that uphill right-hander. Actually puts a lot of load on the mechanical grip of the car heading up that hill. Good old Brazil, very unique track. Sector 2 is so crucial to gaining and losing time. It's one of the few tracks that if you mess up the one sector, there's no recovering it because the track is so short, and Sector 3 is pretty much flat out no matter what. So if you mess your lap up in Sector 2, there's no recovering. Ivan Brito is going to come across the line, improves his time but not his position. 108.708. Let's go back to some of these other guys here. George Wilkes, he's invalidated his lap time, so he's going to have, he can probably get back to the line and give it another go. It'd be a little close. We'll pick up Tim Ventic. Actually, this is Friab Bile. Oh, Tim Ventic disqualified. So he was currently 4th. He is now going to be disqualified and out of this session. So Sandro Dulius moves up into 3rd with his 107.659. Friab Bile, we're currently watching. He's on a fast lap right now. He's got a lot of traffic in front of him to contend with. And look at all these disqualifications. Jensen Randall, Tim Ventic, Andrea Latrella, Jerome Adamaco, all disqualified. I didn't even catch Andrea Latrella being disqualified from the session. So now George Wilkes is your provisional pole sitter. Friad Belay is currently second, so it's an Aston Martin front row. George Wilkes' time is locked in at the 107.367. He couldn't get back to the line in time. So that's your provisional pole time. Friad Belay on a timed lap. He's got traffic that he's contending with. Hot laps will count. Sandro Dulius is in the pits, it says, so his time's going to be locked in at a 107.659, so there's not going to be any improving him. Here comes Friad Belay. He's got the slipstream with the car in front, and a 107.196 for Friad Belay. Here comes Aleski. Aleski's done. He's off the pace. Luke Smith at the last minute sets a time. It's the first time Luke has set a qualifying time in months, years. A 107.587 for Luke Smith. He's not going to do the back-to-front challenge. He's going to take the day seriously for a change. A third-place start for Luke Smith. It has been years since I've seen him set a qualifying time. And Friad Belay with a blistering 107.196, almost cracked into the 106s. What an unbelievable time. He definitely had some help on the straightaways. He timed his outlap perfectly. Put together a beautiful timed lap, got the slipstream going up the hill to the checkered flag, and a 107.196 for Friad Belay. That is a great way to start the final race of the season here at Brazil. So there is Friad Belay starting lineup. Friad followed by his teammate George Wilkes. Luke Smith starting in third. Sandro Dulius is fourth. Aleski fifth. Max Mulder is sixth. Jesper Lempinen is seventh. Sam Brandt is eighth. Ivan Brito ninth. Joe Marusic is 10th. Senna Haywire is 11th. Alex Benarichetti did not set a time. And then Jerome Adamaco, Andrea Latrella, Tim Bentic, and Jensen Randall all disqualified. I don't know if that was on purpose, by accident. But you've got a lot of fast drivers that are all going to be competing with each other. I don't know if they decided to do a pact and wanted to do the back-to-front challenge here on the last day of the race. Things do get a little laxed on the last day of the season because there is no next race penalties to be assessed. There's going to only be post-race penalties that could affect your finishing position, but nothing that carries on over to the next season except for actual penalty points. We do a penalty point system here in SRL just like the regular FIA and Formula One in real life, and those penalty points can carry over into next season. And just like the FIA, too many penalty points can result in a race suspension. So these that they're going to be kind of laxed and kind of playful. Some of that stuff can still carry over to next season as far as penalty points goes. But post-race penalties, loss of position, loss of time, that can still go into effect, but no qualifying bans or race bans that would be heading into the next season. Done doing the 18-minute short qualifying session. We're going to follow that up with a 50% race, 36 laps here around Brazil, a proper F1 track, a proper place to end the season as it was for so many years. Going to do the formation lap. We'll run down to the starting lineup once again as we've got a lot of drivers racing for pride today. Friad Belay starting on pole in the Aston Martin, very fast driver. He's got George Wilkes behind him. Wilkes finished third last week at the Miami Grand Prix because of that 5-second timing penalty, looking to try and capitalize on this second place starting spot. Luke Smith, the man from Australia, the man from down under, starting in third. It's the first time I've seen him set a qualifying time in years. I'm interested to see how well this plays out for him. He's going to be starting on the hard tires. Sandro Dulius starting in the fourth position right behind Luke Smith. He's got Aleski in front, right behind him. Max Mulder sitting at the start-finish line will be starting in the sixth position. And Jesper Lempinen, who had a great run in Miami, looking to try and do the same here today at Brazil, starting in the seventh spot, kind of hoping to move forward and get some points on the board. Sam Brandt in the Red Bull. He's going to be looking to put some points on the board for Red Bull. His teammate Nick Van Gelder not here today. So he is the A driver for Red Bull. Ivan Brito in the other Mercedes, starting in the ninth position. Jure Marusic, Nick Van Gelder's longtime teammate here at Red Bull. Coming in today, good to see an OG racer here in my final race for SRL. Good to see one of the OGs back on track in Ivan Brito. Senna Haywire starting in the 11th position. Alex Benarichetti in the Ferrari. That's usually Dion Stahl, but Dion Stahl not here today as well. And then 13th through 16th, that's a Jerome Adamaco, Andrea Latrella, Tim Ventic, and Jensen Randall. The 4 fastest drivers, arguably, on track, all starting in the back of this pack. So this should be a very interesting race. 36 laps around Brazil here. We'll wait for the 5 red lights. Lights out, time to run what you brung. They're away in a puff of smoke, and it's a good start for George Wilkes and Friabile as they get away. Great run for Friabile, and it's going to be mass chaos behind them. Oleski gets to the inside of Sandro, but gets pushed wide, and that's going to open up the door for Max Mulder. Caution flag flying in Sector 1. Looks like that's Jurma Rusic already having issues at the Turn 1-2 complex as we watch this swarm of cars come down the back straightaway. Bits and pieces flying off of the cars. The signage is gone. And Andrea Latrella is already up into the 10th position, starting in the back. Diving from the Haas there. That's Jerome Adamaco up into 8th already. These guys are super aggressive because he gets around Sam Brandt. Ivan Brito and Senna Haywire battling it out for the 11th position. Tim Ventic trying to get around them. And now Sam Brandt battling with Andrea Latrella. Latrella around the outside of Sam Brandt. They make a little bit of contact. Brandt's going to try and stick to the inside. Big counter steer there from Latrella as he had to lock up and the rear almost went around on him. And Friabile is already out to a 1-second gap over his teammate George Wilkes. Luke Smith still running in at the 3rd position. Max Mulder and Oleski battling it out for the 5th spot. Meanwhile, Jerome Adamaco just got around Jesper Lempinen for the 7th position. Unbelievable run by Adamaco already. And then we've got Max Mulder down the straightaway with the DRS slot open. Look at the move and the going on behind there with Jesper. And Jerome Adamaco. Jesper gets pushed wide. Adamaco gets a run coming out of the corner. And a 3-second timing penalty for Senna Haywire already here on lap 2. And we've got a 4-car battle going on here. This is Max Mulder, Oleski, Jerome Adamaco, Jesper Lempinen. Meanwhile, there's also a battle going on for the 2nd spot. So you've got George Wilkes, who's 1.5 seconds behind his teammate Luke Smith, right behind him in the Kick Sauber. And he's got Sandro Dulius behind him in the 4th position. Meanwhile, this swarm of cars here, this is Max Mulder, Adamaco, Oleski. Adamaco and Oleski are both going to have the DRS advantage. And look at this, it's 3 wide as they come down the front straightaway. Nobody's going to give an inch here in the final race of the season. To the inside. And Adamaco has to back out, loses a couple of positions. Oleski up 2. And Sandro Dulius has had an issue as he's gone off track, and he just lost 3, 4, 5 positions. 4 positions down into 8th now for Sandro. Meanwhile, Max Mulder to the inside of Oleski in this side-by-side as they come out of the corner. I can't keep up with everything that's going on. Excuse me. Still side-by-side, these two, Oleski and Max Mulder. Max putting on a great show right now. There's a little bit of shoulder rubbing there going on. Adamaco looking to buy his time. And Senna Haywire is retired from the session. Looks like he's had an off, and it's a full course caution. Safety car is out. That means the pits are going to be crazy busy. What a frantic opening set of laps. And Jensen Randall is... Okay, so Jensen Randall has already made a stop. Wow, 42 seconds behind, but he's already made a pit stop. I don't know if something happened on the opening stint here of that race. We're only on lap 3. I don't know if he had damage on the opening lap. And wow, look at this. Nobody's taking pit road. There's very few takers. I thought for sure the lead cars would dive in, but no. Sam Brandt's going to take advantage of it. Tim Ventic looks like he's going to take advantage of it. Andrea Latrella. I really thought a lot of these guys would have taken advantage to do the tire swap. Maybe 34 laps, 33 laps is too long to run on a set of hards around here. Some of these guys are already on hards. What a frantic start. Brazil always puts up for some great racing here at SRL. We talked about the Season 4 championship run. And we will continue to talk about Season 4's championship run. It is the 10th anniversary season for SRL, but Season 4 still stands out as one of the most competitive and most dramatic seasons, with everything literally coming down to the last 10 laps of the season as far as who was going to win the championship, who was going to win the race. And obviously, Jensen Randle locked up this championship many races ago. 5 championships. He's a 5-time winner. So, I mean, you got to hand it to the guy. Jensen Randle is extremely good at what he does. He's not the only former champion in the field, though. We've got Season 5 champion Tim Ventic currently running in the 13th spot in the Alpine. And you've got Season 2 champion Alex Benarichetti in the Ferrari, filling in for Dion Stahl. So, Nick Van Gelder, if he was here, he was the Season 4 champion. So, looks like we're going to circulate under the safety car. I'll probably wait for Jensen Randle here, Mr. 5-time, to... Well, it looks like he's going to dive into the pits. He was on a set of softs. So Jensen's going to come in and go back out. And a 10-second timing penalty for Jure Marusic, a severe collision with Alex Benarichetti under the safety car. Now, I'm sure that was not on purpose. Let's see if Jure Marusic has any wing damage. And it looks like, yeah, the end plate on the left front is gone for Jure's car. Whoa, and around goes Alex Benarichetti. So Alex, unfortunately, who was in the 10th position. Now, I wonder, because of that severe collision that Jure Marusic had with him, if he's got floor damage, and that might be causing an issue with Benarichetti's car. So that's interesting. So a 10-second timing penalty for severe collision for Jure Marusic, and then coming up the hill, Benarichetti loses the car under the safety car. So, and then we've got Jensen Randle. He is in a hurry to catch up to the field. So we'll probably do one more lap here under the safety car. And we've got Joachim on the live chat. Let's see Jesper do his thing once again. I'm so ready. Yes, Jesper might not be an official champion, but he sure is a champion in our hearts. I will say that, yes. Jesper Lempinen. He does always have fans in the stands for sure. He's Joachim and Whippo and some of these other guys always tune in every week to see Jesper try and do what Jesper does. He is one of actually the fan favorites. I'll say that for sure. And I know there's a bit of sarcasm there with Joachim with that, but honestly, I've enjoyed watching Jesper Lempinen over these last few seasons. He's a pretty steadfast racer. He's not the quickest guy on track. He's not the slowest guy on track. He does have some good race pace. He did really well last week at Miami. He's done really well at Monza in the past. He picked up his first pole position ever at Monza many seasons ago. He's a bit of a fan favorite. He's got some pretty good racecraft. Not often is Jesper involved in an altercation with another driver. If he DNFs, it's usually, he doesn't take another driver with him. I say that a lot about like other drivers like Robert Herrstegen or Ivan Brito. These are guys that maybe they don't always finish in the points, but they don't often take another driver out with them. So see what Jesper can do here in this final race of the season and in my final race of my SRL career, unfortunately. We're going to go back to Green Flag Racing. Friab Belay going to be the control car, followed by his teammate George Wilkes. George, I'm going to watch Luke Smith here. Looks like Friab's trying to play the game just a little bit. Wilkes is almost alongside him. And back to Green Flag Racing. Looks like Wilkes might have spun the tires a little bit. That's going to allow Luke Smith to get to his gearbox. And here comes Luke Smith trying to get to the inside of George Wilkes. Late on the brakes, dives into turn one. There's a bit of contact from Wilkes to the rear of Luke Smith's car. Luke's going to cut across the curbing. Probably got a warning for that one, but no timing penalty yet. And now Luke Smith is off to the races to try and see if he can close that gap to Friab Belay. But Friab Belay is already 0.7 of a second up on Luke Smith. George Wilkes now going to have to fight with Max Mulder running in the 4th position. Max having a great day. He's followed by Jerome Adamaco in 5th, Oleski in 6th, Jesper Lempinen in 7th, and here comes Sandro Dulius trying to make up for his mistake that he had earlier when he went from 4th to 8th. And Tim Ventic and Sam Brandt battling it out for the 9th position. Tim's going to get around the outside, pick up that spot, and now Sam Brandt is under threat from Andrea Latrella. Latrella very tight in that corner, almost lost the back end. Meanwhile, Jensen Randall on that restart went from 15th to 12th real quick. Ivan Brito into 13th. Jovan Rusic is 14th, and Alex Benaricchetti is 15th. He might have floor damage. We're not sure. So Luke Smith is now 1.2 seconds back from Friab Belay. He's got George Wilkes breathing down his neck, and now George Wilkes is going to have the DRS advantage along with some of these other drivers. Luke Smith's going to be a sitting duck as he comes down this back straightaway. And it looks like Benaricchetti and Jovan Rusic battling it out for the 15th position in the back. George Wilkes not able to get close enough to close up that gap. And Jakob bringing up a good point as we go back to Jesper Lempinen real quick. As we were talking about, he doesn't get a lot of timing penalties, and that is very true. He's one of the few drivers that rarely ever picks up a timing penalty. Whereas you have other drivers like Dion Stahl, who's not with us today, but Dion Stahl, it's not an official SRL race unless Dion Stahl has a timing penalty. So the Dion actually out at Spa-Francorchamps today for the 6 hours of Spa for the WEC series. We've talked about that a couple times. Him and Nick Van Gelder out there. So George Wilkes losing a little bit of time to Luke Smith. And Luke trying to keep pace. He's not able to catch Friab Belay, but he's able to keep pace and stay out in front. As we see Adamaco finally get around Max Mulder for the 4th position. Max Mulder having a great run today up into 5th. And then I think we saw Oleski, or Tim Ventic just ran the fastest lap of this race. He's currently in the 8th position. And we see Jensen now getting around Jesper Lempinen for the 9th position. And Jensen just went purple in Sector 1. Jensen on a tear. And bits and pieces are flying off of these cars. I don't know if that's a glitch in the game or if these guys are losing floor damage or if these are supposed to be sparks. But a lot of bits and pieces I see flying around the track coming off of these cars. Meanwhile, Luke Smith, I said he wasn't able to keep pace with Friab Belay. I don't know if Friab had an issue, but looks like Luke is closing in on Friab Belay. He's going to have the DRS advantage. He's 0.7 of a second back from Friab Belay. DRS slot open for Luke Smith. And Jensen Randall just ran the fastest lap of this race, a 109.403. So Jensen getting close to running qualifying lap times. We saw a lot of guys in the 108s. Pole position was a 107. And here comes George Wilkes. Is he going to try and get to the inside? He does. Does he outbrake himself? No, he doesn't. That's a great move by George Wilkes. I thought Luke Smith was going to be able to hold him off a little bit longer. So Luke Smith down into 3rd. And he is going to have to contend with Jerome Adamaco behind him. Adamaco, very fast driver. Meanwhile, Max Mulder's battling it out with Oleski for the 5th position. Max Mulder leading this pack. This is 5th on back. That's Max Mulder, Oleski, Sandro Dulius in 7th, Tim Ventic in 8th, and Jensen Randall in 9th. So 5-car battle there. And we've got Luke Smith. Looks like he's had an issue. He's going to lose out. There's contact between Adamaco and Wilkes. Luke Smith's going to get around one of them. So contact between Adamaco and Wilkes. Adamaco tried getting a 2-for-1 deal going into turn 1. Great defensive driving. And Sandro Dulius is falling back. What's going on with Sandro? Looks like he's had an issue at the S's. And a 3-second timing penalty for Jovan Rusic, and Sandro struggling to get the car back under power and get going again. So he's dropped all the way to 14th. That was a 5-car battle. Meanwhile, Friab Belay Oh, no, and Friab Belay's got Luke Smith behind him again. So Luke Smith and Adamako. Looks like Luke was able to put the move to him at the end of the back straightaway, I guess. So Luke Smith back up in the second spot, just right outside of the DRS range. Luke putting up a great fight. He's now separated himself from Adamako by just a little bit. George Wilkes, I should say. Getting my Aston Martins mixed up with everybody else. Meanwhile, Jensen Randall has just gotten around Oleski for the 5th position. Look at that. Tim Ventic trying to contend with and Tim Ventic's going to cut across the nose of Oleski. Things are hectic here. We're only on lap 12 of this race. Things are it's straight madness right now with everything going on. So Friab Belay, so we're going to take a look at Jensen Randall as he gets around George Wilkes for the 4th spot. And now it's going to be championship, what could have been championship rivals if Adamako would have participated full time this year. Jensen Randall in the McLaren, Adamako in the Haas. Luke Smith trying to hang on to that 2nd spot. Luke Smith has put on a great drive today. I've often said if Luke Smith took his online racing career seriously, everybody would be running for 2nd. But Luke is he's a very casual kind of guy. He's a lot of fun to be around. He's great to play games with. I've played Rocket League with him for a number of times. Real fun guy to talk to. Not going to be able to hold off Adamako. He's not going to have the DRS advantage. Here comes Jensen Randall. Everybody behind Luke, unfortunately, has DRS. Luke was the sitting duck in that situation. He's going to lose maybe 3 spots, and now he's a part of this swarm here. There goes George Wilkes, who's been struggling now for the last couple of laps. He's lost a number of positions. He's side by side with Luke Smith. Battle for 5th is on. Wilkes is trying to go around the outside. Luke Smith trying to side draft him a little bit. Meanwhile, we've got this battle here for 2nd. This is your 5-time champion with fighting against Jerome Adamako, and they touch heading into the corner. They rub shoulders a little bit. Jensen Randall's going to take that spot, and he's going to set his sights on Friab Belay, the former McLaren driver, former teammates here. Friab Belay in the Aston Martin, Jensen Randall in 2nd spot in the McLaren. Jerome Adamako wants to get back to Jensen Randall's gearbox. And you've got a slew of fast drivers. Jensen Randall, the 5-time champion in 2nd spot. Jerome Adamako, a championship contender for sure if he joins full-time. Tim Ventic, Season 5 champion. Oh, and Luke Smith finally picks up a 3-second timing penalty, running in the 6th position, trying to battle it out here mid-pack. And he has caught this battle. He's within the 2nd. He's within DRS range of George Wilkes. Meanwhile, Bene Ricchetti, Ivan Brito, Sandro Julius, and Sam Brandt. Sam dives into the pits. That's going to move those drivers up. Sandro up into the 13th spot. Jensen Randall leading this pack of cars. Luke Smith still battling it out with George Wilkes. Tries to do the crossover move, get to the inside. The inside's going to become the outside. Wilkes puts the power down. And it looks like Max Mulder and Jesper Lempinen are fighting for the 9th position on the timing and scoring, along with Andrea Latrella. So Luke Smith's going to have the DRS advantage this time by. Oh, he's going to easily be able to get to the inside of Wilkes and make that move well before the start-finish line. Meanwhile, Jensen Randall gets around Friab Belay for the lead of this race. I didn't realize Jensen had closed down to the DRS range. So now Jensen Randall, the 5-time champion, out in front. Here comes Jerome Adamako to the inside of Friab Belay. And Tim Ventic sitting in the 4th position. Caution flag flying, and what sector is that? That might have been Sector 3. Got Jesper Lempinen and Sandro Julius in the pits. Now Sam Brandt had pitted a lap before, so he's going to get one of those positions back. Jensen Randall is your leader out in front of Jerome Adamako, followed by Friab Belay, followed by Tim Ventic. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to this battle here. This is Luke Smith with George Wilkes and Oleski. Unbelievable racing in today's race. And Jorma Rusic, unfortunately, picking up a 3-second timing penalty on top of the 10-second timing penalty he already had. And look at this, Tim Ventic to the inside, and Tim almost put into the pit wall. George Wilkes with aggressive defensive driving. Tim Ventic wasn't having it and got around him. So 3 of the 4 fastest drivers on track are now running in the top 3 spots, and we see George Wilkes get around Luke Smith for that 5th position. Luke falls back into 6th. And actually Luke's in danger of losing the 6th position to Oleski. And Alex Benarachetti dives into the pits on timing and scoring. What a wild, wild race we're having here in Brazil. So Jensen Randall, followed by Jerome Adamaco, followed by Tim Ventic. Get a little bit of a DRS train here with Adamaco and Tim Ventic and Friad Belay. Big lock up there on the left front from Jensen Randall as he heads down into turn 1. Again, DRS slots open for these guys. Adamaco not close enough to make a move. He thought about it. Now he does get to the inside, which is going to be the outside of the next corner. Up the hill at turn 6. These guys are running nose to tail. Sandro Duilius battling it out with his teammate for the day, Alex Benarachetti, for the 13th position on timing and scoring. Sandro's had a rough day. Sandro started in the 4th position, was running mid-pack for a little while in that 4th spot. Then he had a bit of an off at the turn 1-2, the Senna S's. That dropped him to 8th, and then a little bit later on he had another issue where he might have gotten pushed wide. That dropped him further down the running order. And Adamaco gets to the inside of Jensen Randall, late breaks, big lockup on that left front. And I didn't even notice it, but it looks like Jensen Randall's actually got some wing damage here on that left front end plate is gone on Jensen Randall's car. Now that would really only be hurting him here through sector 2 as they go side by side at the end of turn 4, and then up the hill here, they're going to be side by side. The inside's going to become the outside. Adamaco's got to be careful, and it's sweeping up the turn 6 complex here at the top of the hill. Jensen Randall takes that position back. So Adamaco had the lead of this race for just a second. Big twitch coming out of that corner as he tries to get the power down. And Jensen Randall trying to pull away. He's at 0.6 of a second now over Adamaco. That was a quick pass and back out in front. Adamaco will have the DRS advantage. He's going to be bringing Tim Ventic with him. So Adamaco a little bit easier on the brakes this time. And a 10-second time penalty for Max Mulder speeding in pit lane. That is unfortunate. Max Mulder actually been having a really good race today, all things considered. That is going to hurt him greatly. So he was running mid-pack. He was actually running as high as 4th at one point. As we continue to watch this 3-car battle, and I know I keep bringing it up, but this is actually very reminiscent of Season 4's championship race. It was a 3-car battle for a long time in that race between Vasilios Belasiotis, Francis McGinn, and Nick Van Gelder. Today we've got Jensen Randall, Jerome Adamaco, and Tim Ventic. Back out onto the straightaway. See if Jerome Adamaco can get a little. He might actually be a little bit closer this time. He's going to be close enough to make a move. Is he going to think about it? Pulls out a line, dives to the inside. Jensen Randall's going to give him that line, but he's going to be side by side with him as they come through the turn 2. He's going to try and push him wide. Tim Ventic's trying to give him the bump and run. Bump draft down the straightaway. And another 3-second timing penalty for Luke Smith. And here we go, 3 wide into turn 4. Whoa! And Jensen Randall cuts across the nose of Jerome Adamaco. And Jensen Randall hangs on to that position. Unbelievable racing here, and Jensen Randall able to separate himself a little bit this time. So despite that wing damage on Jensen Randall's McLaren, he's actually been able to gap in Sector 2, where I really thought he would have a little bit of an issue, but I guess not. I guess Sector 2 is actually so slow, the aerodynamics don't really come into play. It's a lot of mechanical grip through there. And we talked about the mechanical load that it gets put on the car through the turn 6 right-hander. So everything from turn 6, but you see coming down the front straightaway and the back straightaway is really where Adamaco is able to capitalize and use that DRS to his advantage. So coming out of turn 2, and then you've got this run here, turn 2 and 3, and then you get this run down to turn 4 here. That's really where Adamaco's car is a little bit better than Jensen Randall's, but Jensen Randall is just so good right now from here on out. This right-hander running up the hill. You see a little bit of a lock up there. So we're working lap 21 of 36. Let's take a look at the pit stops. You see Jensen Randall's had to make a couple of pit stops. Adamaco's yet to pit. Luke Smith's yet to pit. And Aleski's yet to pit. So there's going to be a little bit of a shakeup here for sure when Adamaco has to pit. He's on medium tires. And that grip's probably going to start giving up. I wonder how long he can run those mediums. He might make a switch to softs towards the end of this race. Now, we did run some laps under the safety car when we lost Senna Haywire. Here comes Adamaco again to the inside. Nothing too dramatic here with this one. It's a pretty standard pass. Going to get around Jensen Randall, 1-2. And then Jensen Randall's going to take it back coming down this back straightaway. Adamaco falls back in line. He doesn't have the DRS. And you've got some guys pitting. It looks like that's Aleski's pulled into the pits. Andrea Luttrell pulled into the pits. So that's going to move some of these guys up. That puts Luke Smith into the 4th position. And has Luke pitted? Luke has not pitted. I should have known better. He's on hard tires. Luke will run hard tires until the end of time. The only reason Luke ever pits is because it's mandatory. Alex Benarichetti with a 3-second timing penalty. He's currently running in the 14th position, 0.7 of a second behind his teammate Sandro Dooley is in 13th. So looks like Jensen Randall able to separate himself this time a little bit through that Sector 2 section. 0.8 of a second up over Jerome Adamaco. And it kind of makes me wonder if Tim Ventic, I know Tim's kind of been running in 3rd. He hasn't really been making too many moves. He's been letting these guys battle out in front of him. You know, back in Season 4, we watched Nick Van Gelder use a similar strategy. He was running in 3rd position. He was letting Vasilios Belasiotis and Francis McGinn battle it out for the 1st position. And when those two finally came together with 5 laps to go, Nick was able to capitalize over that. So Tim Ventic may be running a similar strategy, letting these two guys battle it out in front, Jensen Randall and Jerome Adamaco, and see maybe if something happens between the two drivers. Again, there's not really any love lost between these guys. And Jesper Lempinen with a 3-second timing penalty. Jakob, we talked about it earlier on the live chat that rarely does he pick up a timing penalty, but he's got one today, unfortunately, as he runs in the 11th position. And now Jerome Adamaco has fallen out of touch. He's out of DRS range of Tim Ventic, so Tim Ventic's going to have the DRS advantage. He should be able to make the move over Adamaco coming into turn 1, and Adamaco still has yet to pit, working lap 24 of 36. Tim Ventic doesn't make a move this time by. He's maybe saving it for the end of the backstretch here at turn 3 and 4. Oh, and 10-second timing penalty for Luke Smith speeding into pit lane. I don't think Luke remembered that you have to manually slow the car down. There's no auto, the auto pit limiter is not set here in SRL. So Luke Smith, I think he's already got a couple of 3-second timing penalties hanging over his head, plus the 10-second timing penalty. Now, I don't know if that 10-second timing penalty gets served in the pits. It does not. He was definitely in and out less than 10 seconds. So it definitely does not. So that'll be assessed at the end of the race, unfortunately. So Luke Smith started off strong today, struggling a little bit here in the second part of this race as we head into the third stint. And Jerome Adamako able to catch back up to Jensen Randall. He was outside of DRS range. He's now back in. Guess maybe he'll let them tires cool down for a hot second. And he's back on it. He's going to have the DRS advantage as he comes down to turn 1. He's going to pull out of line. Is he going to make the move? He's going to get around Jensen Randall as he heads into turn 1. Now, we've seen Adamako make this move a number of times before. Jensen Randall's so good through turns 1 and 2. He's going to easily be able to make that move as he comes back out. Adamako's going to push him wide. They're now side by side down the straightaway. It's a drag race to turn 3 and 4. And Jurma Rusic, 10-second timing penalty for exceeding the track limits. And again, Adamako to the inside as they come up the hill. Woo! Jensen Randall cuts across the nose of Adamako. Adamako's going to struggle with that aero wash. His car pushes wide. Tim Bentic now trying to pounce on top of Adamako. And again, Jensen Randall so good through Sector 2. I don't know how he's been able to do it with the wing damage that he has. DRS slot open. Not close enough to make a move that time by Tim Bentic. Still biding his time. Now remember, Jerome Adamako has to make a pit stop at some point. He's yet to make a pit stop. Pulls out of line. He thought about cutting back in, but he stays out. And whoa, and the back end almost comes around on Adamako's car. Late on the brakes, and here comes Tim Bentic. That was a huge slide. Great save by Adamako. And Luke Smith with a 3-second timing penalty to add to the other timing penalties that he has. I can't remember. I don't know what the record is, but I think Luke Smith might hold the record for the largest amount of timing penalties in a race. If he doesn't, I know he had one race where it was very close to holding the record. Sam Brandt with a 3-second timing penalty. Caution flag flying Sector 1. Who is that for? Looks like that might be for one of the Red Bulls. Oh, and it's Sam Brandt. And he didn't lose any front wing, but he's definitely took some signage with him. I guess Jurma Rusic is essentially a lap down to his teammate, running in the 15th position. And Jerome Adamako finally making a pit stop, so that's going to allow Tim Bentic to go into the second spot. So Tim now, let's see if Tim can make anything happen. These guys, I mean, got to give credit where credit's due. These guys are 1-2 in the championship. I mean, Jensen Randall locked up the championship many, many races ago. He's got like 100 more points than Tim Bentic, but it should be noted, Tim Bentic second in the championship point standings. He's Season 5 champion. So you've got Season 5 champion versus 5-time champion here running first and second. But let's see, does Tim have anything for Jensen Randall? He's been sitting behind Jerome Adamako for so long. Not sure if Tim has really been able to show his true pace sitting behind Adamako while they were battling it out. So DRS slot open. And we've got DJ Marabangers on the live chat. Why is this more exciting than real F1? Because this is SRL as we continue to watch Tim Ventic try and battle it out with Jensen Randall. DRS slot open. We see Luke Smith is making a move around George Wilkes for the 5th position. But remember, Luke Smith has a ton of timing penalties. A caution flag flying in Sector 2. It looks like that might have been for one of the Red Bulls again. And these guys are actually coming into Sector 2. So these two guys are catching the Red Bulls. So lap traffic, not really going to be too much of an issue. The drivers here in SRL pretty good about getting out of the way when they need to, most of them. The two Red Bulls shouldn't be an issue. Sam Brandt and Jurma Rusic both have a ton of experience racing in SRL. They know that there's a lead battle going on. They both understand Jensen Randall and Tim Ventic are both very fast drivers. And Sam Brandt with a 10-second timing penalty, speeding into the pit lane. We've seen that from a number of drivers today. He's about the 4th driver we've seen do that. Max Mulder, Sam Brandt, Luke Smith, I think Jurma Rusic, all 4 of those guys have 10-second timing penalties sliding into pit road. So we continue to watch this lead battle of this race. Tim Ventic not close enough to make a move, and Jensen Randall with that wing damage still able to stay out in front. We see Jerome Adamaco, he's pitted, he's out on a fresh set of tires, runs the fastest lap of this race at a 1:09.1. Nick Van Gelder on the live chat, Jensen versus Tim for the win of this race. How many times have we seen that this season? We saw a lot at the early part of this season, and then unfortunately Jensen Randall went on a tear, and he's won like 11 races this season. So Tim's got his work cut out for him. Still maintaining that half-second gap. He's not able to really catch up. So Jensen Randall, with the wing damage and the setup, has been able to just maintain his pace. Jensen Randall doing Jensen things, as we like to call him, either Jensen Hamilton or Jensen Verstappen, whoever the current champion is. So Tim's got that DRS slot open. He's only able to pick up a couple of tenths over Jensen Randall, so So you see Tim Ventic still not able to gain a whole lot of ground here over Jensen Randall. You've got a battle of the tires as well. Tim Ventic on the medium tires, Jensen Randall on the hards. Meanwhile, Adamaco has gotten back up into 3rd spot over Friad Belay. That's a 12, 13 seconds behind the lead battle. You've got George Wilkes and Luke Smith still battling it out here mid-pack now. George Wilkes does have some timing penalties hanging over his head. Not as many as Luke Smith for sure. So if Oleski stays within touch of these guys, Oleski's going to be able to pick up a couple of spots at the end of this race as we work lap 31 of 36. Then you go back to Andrea Latrella, Sam Brandt with another 3-second timing penalty hanging over his head in slew of everything else. You got Max Mulder running all by his lonesome. Now, he's currently got a 10-second timing penalty hanging over his head, but that's inconsequential right now because, actually, no, I take that back. He's 12 seconds back of Andrea Latrella, 3 seconds back of Max Mulder, so Max would fall out of the points, and that would move Ivan Brito and Jensen Randall up a spot, or Jensen Randall, Sandro Dulius, I'm sorry. So Sandro, one of the few drivers that does not have a timing penalty hanging over his head. So we've got just as many drivers with timing penalties as we do without them right now. As we come around to start lap 32 of this race. And we're going to continue to watch Jerome Adamaco. He's on reds. He's now 11 seconds back. So he's picked up 2 seconds over the lead battle in the last couple of laps, as we see Jurma Rusic pick up another 3-second timing penalty. Tim Ventic all over the gearbox of Jensen Randall as this battle continues to rage on. Now, we've seen Tim do this a number of times this season. Tim able to get to the back of Jensen Randall, but not able to get around Jensen Randall. And as they say, it's one thing to catch the car in front, it's another to get around them. I don't know if Tim is maybe trying to save his move for later in the race. Tim's a pretty smart driver. I think Tim understands that he's got the pace to stay with Jensen Randall, but I don't think he's got the pace to pull away from Jensen Randall. And I don't know that Tim knows Jensen's got wing damage, because my argument would be that if you can get in front of Jensen, you could create some dirty air, put some aero wash over that front wing, and Jensen Randall could struggle with the front grip of that car. So, but I don't think Tim knows that Jensen's got wing damage, so he might be biding his time, trying to wait and see what happens throughout the course of this race. Meanwhile, we've got this Red Bull behind them. Now, this Red Bull, that is, I believe, Jure Marusic. Nope, it's Sam Brandt, actually, and Sam's having a rough day. He's not a part of this battle, so he's got to be careful with what he wants to do. I mean, Sam would love to get around this traffic and work his way upstream. But I think Sam really needs to, and another 3-second timing penalty for Luke Smith, currently running in that 6th spot. I think Sam really needs to, Sam's got enough gap between him and his teammate. He could back off and just not be a part of anything that happens here. As we see Sandro Dulius get around Ivan Brito, that will actually move him up into the points paying position here. And with the timing penalties of Max Mulder and essentially Luke Smith, Sandro would actually pick up another couple of spots. Meanwhile, Jerome Adamaco 8.9 seconds back of this lead battle. So Sam, I really wish Sam would back off a little bit. I mean, for two reasons. I mean, obviously, one, he is not a part of this battle. He's essentially a lap down to these guys. But realistically, I mean, if something happens between these two drivers, you also don't want to be so close that you get caught up in it yourself. Or Sam just might really want to know what it's like to race with other people here at the last race of the season. So working lap 34, only a couple laps left to go in the season finale here, this anniversary 10th season of SRL racing. It has been an incredible 10-year run from their humble beginnings with only a handful of drivers. Their first 2 seasons they ran, they didn't even have a commentator. I came along in season 3 at China. I got to tell you, I went back and watched my first race last night. Boy, howdy, have I improved a lot. And so has the league, the racecraft. Just everything with this league has improved each and every year. The drivers that they've had, the graphics, the highlight reels, and they continue to press forward to become a prominent F1 online racing league. We continue to watch Tim Ventic try and see if he can work his way around Jensen Randall, but yeah, it's been an incredible 10 seasons for SRL. Got a caution flag flying in Sector 2. Looks like that was a quick on-off. Now, this is a 2-car battle for those just tuning in. Sam Brandt is in the Red Bull. He's currently running in the 14th position. He just happened to catch the back of this battle here. Running in third is Jerome Adamaco on the Reds, and it looks like maybe those Reds are starting to give up a little bit. He's only 7.9 seconds back, so he was 13, almost 14 seconds back when he came out of the pits a number of laps ago, and that has kind of stabilized right around the 8-second mark. So here we go, one final time, lap 36, and Tim Ventic finally pulls out of line to try and get to the inside of Jensen Randall. He's out in front for a second. Jensen Randall's going to have that DRS advantage as they come down through the back straightaway, and Jensen Randall's been great through turns 1 and 2 all day. Jensen Randall's going to be able to take that position back around the outside of Tim Ventic. Tim probably should have saved the move for the end of turn 3-4 area. They're going to make the run up to the top of the hill. Sam Brandt still running with these guys. Tim Ventic trying to stick with Jensen Randall, half a lap left in this season finale here. Half a lap left in my SRL career. Caution flag flying sector 2. Looks like that's for one of the... Is that for one of the Red Bulls or for one of the Alpines? I don't know what car that is, but it's sitting right here in sector 2. And Tim Ventic, not a good clean section there. Jensen Randall's going to come out of the final corner up the hill. Tim's going to have the DRS advantage, but only for a little while. He's not going to be close enough to make a move. It'll be a drag race to the start-finish line, but Jensen Randall is going to come across, win this race. And you see Sam Brandt do a donut across the line, keeps it out of the wall. Good on him. Jerome Adamako doing the Michael Schumacher celebration and is slamming into the wall himself. Friab Belay is going to come across the line. Here comes Luke Smith. He's going to come across the line 5th, but he's going to drop through the points for sure. Oleski comes across the line in 6th. Andrea Latrella, rough day for him. Looks like he's got some wing damage. He's probably been racing like that for a number of laps now. So he's going to come across the line 8th. He's going to get bumped up into 7th. We see Max Mulder come across the line. And it looks like that's going to do it for timing penalties for Luke Smith. So Luke Smith will be 8th. Here comes Sandro Dulius. Rough day for him, but he does finally get back into the points. And he's going to move up into the 9th because of the timing penalties of Max Mulder. And actually, Ivan Brito is going to capture a point here at the last race of this season. Another unbelievable season finale. And once again, Jensen Randall with the driver of the day. He is not in a Ferrari. I don't know why EA Sports and Codemasters can't get that right. Jensen Randall, your 5-time champion. He locked up the championship weeks ago. 5-time champion atop the step. Your season 5 champion, Tim Ventic, coming home in 2nd spot. Jerome Adamako, the German, who put on a great show this year, did not race full-time. 3rd in the points this season. Could have been a championship contender if he raced full-time this year. Comes home 3rd. So these are your unofficial results for today's race. Jensen Randall with the win. Tim Ventic 2nd. Jerome Adamako is 3rd. Friab Belay is 4th. George Wilkes is 5th. Oleski is 6th. Andrea Latrella is 7th. Luke Smith is 8th. Sandro Dulius 9th. And Ivan Brito 10th. Max Mulder 11th. Jesper Lempinen outside the points, unfortunately 12th. Season 2 champion Alex Benarichetti 13th, Sam Brandt 14th, Jura Marusic is 15th, and Senna Haywire is the only driver to DNF. These are your unofficial results. I don't see a lot coming in the way of post-race penalties, so these should stand, but I would recommend you like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go and follow SRL on the Instagram at SRL_F1 for all of the news and notes heading into next season. Now remember, they do have a couple of things coming up this summer. In June, they'll be running the Indy 500 on Project Cars 2, 100 laps around the infamous Speedway, the greatest spectacle in racing, so be sure to check that out. And they'll also be running a 2.4 hours of Le Mans over the summer before they kick off Season 11 F1 2025 on the PlayStation platform, so be sure to tune in for that. I won't be there next season, and I just want to say I've been doing this for the latter part of 7 seasons with SRL. It's been an absolute pleasure. I am going to miss it. It's not a decision I made very lightly, but I'm leaving the commentating seat in good hands, and I'll still be watching, and I will still be I'll still be dealing with the league in some capacity as far as a steward goes, so I'll still be in touch with the drivers, but I am going to miss this. So this has been SRL Season 10. I'm Kamikaze Fox. Job done.